everybody, and welcome back to the roundup. We had a wee week off last week because of the snow. It was a complete whiteout, but I'm delighted to be joined by Johnny, pretty much as always, and our dear manager, Sean Kenny. Sean, Johnny, how are we?
Good, thanks. I'm hopefully going to get through the next hour without annoying anybody enough to send you a text message, because I hear your phone's been ringing off the hook with the shite I've been
To be
saying on
fair,
here.
the difference that having you on this season is Dak never offended anybody, so nobody would message me. And this season, what week was it that you it was the Irvine Vic's week.
Irvine Vic's, aye.
I swear to God, I think I had 5 different people message me that week, and I'm just wow, well, it's nice. It means people are listening. But Sean, how you getting on it?
Aye, brilliant. Disappointing weekend. It's a bit difficult to shake it off still. The new, it's still a bit fresh. So, aye. Apart from that, I'm good, mate. Thanks.
Looking forward to hearing the update for it when it comes. But this week we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different cups this week. But we'll not going to touch too much on the cups. We will try and focus as much on league action apart from a couple of bigger results in the cup. We'll start off with the first piece of silverware for the season. Strathclyde Demolition Cup Final was this afternoon. St Cadocs 8-4-2. I don't think anybody's overly surprised that St Cadocs won that the day, but Johnny, we were talking about it before. It's a tough one when you're in a cup final and you're losing 8 goals, and it's almost like you would rather not have made that game than take the absolute doing that they did.
Mm-hmm. We spoke about it a few weeks ago, and we were talking about that cup. I was saying I didn't really have much time for it, to be honest, and I actually forgot it was even on the day. You just reminded me before we started recording. So, but congratulations to St Cadocs. They were the best side in the competition, so they should probably have won it. So, congratulations to Martin and the team up there. But you're right. I mean, I would probably rather no get to a final than get to a final and get scudded 8-2, to be honest with you. But we know Forth's problem this season has been conceding goals. Normally they manage to score a few at the other end to kind of make up for it, but no surprises, and well done to St Cadocs.
Aye, I think so. There's not really a great deal to say about that, to be honest. We'll move on for it. It's well done to St Cadocs. I don't know when the kind of round robin will be with the South and East teams, and then they win that to go into the senior Scottish. But I think they were already in a position where they're trying to get the license for it because they use the Benz Park, so that obviously qualifies for it. But we'll see what happens. But it's a good way for them to get into the competition. In the senior Scottish, we had Clydebank 2, Buckie 0, Meda 0, Steny 5. I don't think it's not much of a surprise for me that Stenhousemuir beat the Meda, even though the Meda have had a bit of resurgence in the last 6 weeks. They're playing a team who are going to be levels above, so I don't think that there's a massive shock. I think they would have preferred to have put up a bit more of a fight, but it is what it is. But on the big one for me, Clydebank beating Buckie 2-0. I know Buckie went down to 10 men, but that's another impressive result. That's 19 games, 18 wins, 1 draw this season for Clydebank. And you're looking at this stage just now, Sean, where you're thinking, where are they going to win a game? It seems hard to see where they're going to lose to now.
And they've been to some difficult places as well already. I know Lars are flying, and they went up there, and I think they got a draw there. But it's difficult playing at Barfields anyway. So that they're winning a lot of games, but that was a big one to say, right, we're still going to keep you as a wee bit far-phase, sorry. But we played Clydebank in the cup early in the season. I was really impressed with them. Really, really, really good football players, but they work well together. I think there's been a few signings this season that's just taken them to that next level. They're always a good team, but they've taken it to that next level, and it was a great result yesterday. And I seen it was Hodgie made his honour appearance for them as well. That's a great achievement for a club to play for a club like Clydebank. Hodges one a good pal, so well done to him for that.
I
Sean,
think
what did you like about them when you played against them? Because I'll tell you something, I know what you're saying about them being really good football players and they're a good football side, but when I heard about them, I seen a wee bit of them against Whitlets, I was surprised how they actually went direct quite a lot and exposed Whitlets at the back. So just I didn't expect that. I expected them to be nice and pretty and pass it and move it and all that kind of stuff. And I was a wee bit surprised that seeing them going direct, but yet to great effect. So did you see that as well when you played against them?
100%, mate, and that was something that I was really impressed from how they want to play and they want to get to your box and they want to they're no like you kind of feel teams now are some especially bigger teams they feel like they have to play 100 passes sometimes, and I'm not joining your conversation whether that's right or wrong, guys. You are talking that fine. I'll just leave that to you. But I really like that. But Clydebank that they go. No, and it's no long. But that's the good thing I like about it. It's no long ball football. Just hump up the park. They've got people that their front three played really narrow against us, and they just get the ball into the midfield and they look to play through, and it's really good. I like the way they play. I like the way they get forward. They get numbers in the box. Um, I was really impressed with them. They want to get to your goals quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well. Obviously, we'll not get sucked into the crusade that me and Johnny are on. I think, but I think that having that direct is probably the best word to use for it. Where because I saw them against Petershill pre-season, and it was I think they drew that day, but like they were comfortably better than Petershill, and that was right at the start of the season. They mixed it up. They were playing a bit of football, but then they had that to go along. That makes it difficult for other teams. I even think you see that way. I don't know if you watched the Liverpool and Man City game today, but I only caught a wee bit of the first half. But you look at the first goal for Liverpool, the day 4 or 5 nice passes, suck Man City right in, goes into the middle, and it's just a 60-yard diag. No a punt up the park, but a long pass.
Mm-hmm.
Salah gets it, cuts across, ball goes in, goal. And it's like, I think that probably is needed a bit more in the game at times because I think sometimes you death by overplaying. But we'll move on to the Junior Cup now. Arthurlie 2, Darvel 4, Bathgate 0, Glenafton 3, Dundee East Craigie 0, Larg 7, Lugar 4, Larkhall 2, Montrose Rosalie 1, B 3, Vale Leven 0, Johnson Borough 4, Armadale 1, Hurlford 1, 4-2 to Armadale in penalties. Benburb 2, Herms 0, Drumchapel 6, Burghead 0, Easterhouse 1, Kilburnie 2, Pollock 4, Cumbernauld 2. Johnny, we'll start with you guys. That was a bit of a shock yesterday, to be honest, for me. I know you've been having a pretty solid season in the third division, but to play a good Larkhall team and beat them 4-2, that was it's an impressive result.
Aye, Larkhall are going well, obviously sitting fifth in the league. And I spoke to George Cameron on Friday night and we had a good conversation and he was saying, look, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna play 4-3-3 and I'm gonna go for it. We're at home. If we go at the cup, nobody's expecting us to win. It was probably the only shock, if you like, of the day. If we're going to go it, then we're going to go it doing it the way that we do it, kind of thing. So he set his stall at early doors that he was going to go and try and win the game, which was good. I think they got a man sent off. They got their goalie sent off quite early as well. Went down to 10 men. So it was important we took advantage of that because it happened against Hurlford, and Hurlford come back and beat us fairly comfortably. So it was important that we won that game with them down to 10 men. I think going by the comments, I think there was maybe a wee bit. I think Larkhall maybe thought it was going to come down to Lugar and get a wee bit of an easy run and then just go back up the road into the next round. So I don't think anybody will get an easy game at Lugar. So and we look forward to welcoming Benburb in the next round. But really pleased. I don't know the last time Lugar got to the last 16 of the Scottish Cup. So really pleased and well done to George and the boys.
What happened?
It's a great result, Johnny. Sorry, PG.
No, you go, mate.
It's a really good result because Larkhall are flying. And when I seen it, I thought I was delighted for George there.
See, in terms of because obviously we spoke previously about the prize money being really good for the junior cups. it's easily the best prize money you get at our level for a competition. We obviously spoke about how shocking the South a Scotland Cup is for prize money teams losing money. When does it start to kick in, the prize money? Do you know?
Aye, well, I think it's about £500. I think we get for getting to the last 16. So that's for a club at Lugar. That's a decent
Aye.
lift. You know, that's a good wee amount. And then it kind of goes up for there depending on where you go. So aye, I mean, I think it was a couple of £100 for getting the last 32, and then jumps up to kind of 500 for the last 16 and stuff. So
A big result for me, Arthurley against Darvel. Top of the first division, bottom of the Premier League playing each other, 4-2 to Darvel. I think, if I remember rightly, I think that's like 13, possibly 14 games Darvel having lost in 90 minutes, because they had one of the cup games they lost in penalties, I think it was. That's a really impressive run, and we're going to touch on the points deduction for Gartcairn when we go into the Premier League in a minute. But that's good, I think, for me. Sean, you know what it's like we are there in managing your amateur team and stuff before. How important is that run that you're on, where you're just, even though it's been a lot of cup games and that, just to have that momentum and building up wins and getting the boys used to winning again?
Massive. And that's, we'll probably go into it, that's one of my frustrations, that we are sort of hot and cold quite a lot. But to have that momentum, and our first season at Ardere, we had that, and you just look for the next game, and it just bounced into the next one. And we touched on Clydebank earlier, that they'll be like that just now. They're just, every game you play, you obviously will look forward to playing football, but you're just in there, and things happen easy for you. You know, you don't overthink things. And on the other side, when you're in a bad run, that's when people who are just usually instinct players, and they overthink things, and then they can start to go wrong that way. So having that momentum was brilliant.
Aye, definitely. Just one other game I'm going to touch on in the Junior Cup was Easterhouse losing 2-1 to Kilburnie. Kilburnie scored, no right in the death, but they scored a bit later on for the winner. And I know Kilburnie aren't having the best of seasons, but it's another one. I'm obviously a pure champion in the 4th division. But that's another result where Easterhouse would have been looking to bounce back after the narrow defeat against Knightswood a couple of weeks ago. That's a decent showing in that. It's a one that should give their team confidence, and I'm sure that Andy and the other management team will be really pleased with the fact that they're pushing a team who are 3 leagues above and pushing them that close.
It's a free hit for them. You know, they welcome a Premier League club to their ground to come and test themselves against them. The only thing I do believe is, I think a lot of the teams, especially the newer teams to the association, because they play on AstroTurf pitches, I think it suits the higher level teams better, because invariably they've got better players, so they've got better quality. So you're inviting them down. Whereas if you look at ourselves, for instance, we've got our old-fashioned grass park that can be a bit of a leveler. But it's so that probably makes it even more of an impressive result on that aspect, because you would imagine Kilburnie will have far superior players in terms of quality. So to kind of hold them that close is great. I think it was probably, again, if you were looking through your kind of coupon on a Saturday morning thinking, where can I find an upset, you would maybe look at Arthurley v Darvel, but then you would think, could Easterhouse maybe get something against Kilburnie? Kilburnie have been hot and cold this season. That was one that you could maybe have seen a wee upset. So well done to Kilburnie. It's a good result for the boys, for Spenny and the boys up there, to just get through the next round, because it was a potential banana skin, and they've managed to get over it.
Aye. We've got 2 results in the South Scotland Cup. In the 3rd round, Greenock 6, Newmains 0. 4th round, Shotts 3, Co-winning 2. I don't think there's any surprises with Greenock winning comfortably. Sean, they're one of your teams that you're in the promotion hunt with. Have you played them this season?
Harry games are doing a few weeks ago. Cheers for bringing it back up, mate.
Not a problem,
mate.
He knew that as well, Sean. He knew it fine.
Spoke to him about it during the week. He's already said this. But I must admit, I don't know if you've played them yet, Johnny, but I was really impressed with Greenock when we played them. I think they look really good. And I think they'll be right up there at the end of the season, because obviously Slick was back. I know Slick was
Aye.
when I actually spoke to him, and he was sort of talking like he doesn't know week to week where he's going to be, because he might be back up at Drumchapel, or else he might be at Greenock. So it's a sort of just a rolling loan move sort of thing. But he makes a big difference for them as well. He's still a cracking player.
It's just, he is so important in terms of, like, I mean, he is, I think it's like 41, maybe 42, but it's just a machine. And Slick's no, I don't think Slick's one of the ones where he would ever say himself that he's a technically fantastic player. He's decent enough, but he knows how to score goals. He's a proper instinct kind of player for me. And I always, to be honest, I liked him when I had my wee spell at a drum. I just think he's got that old school kind of style striker type thing about him where he just wants to score goals.
He's still a handful, like even at his kind of age and stuff like that. If you're a centre half, you know you're going to be in for a game when you play against him, and you also know if you give him a chance that he'll normally score. So for Greenock to bring him in for Drumchapel, to bring him down to the third division, I would expect expect him to score a barrel load probably in this division. Definitely.
You would think so. We're going to move ourselves on to league action. Only one game in the Premier League this week. Troon 1, Talbot 0. Really good result for Troon. That puts them, check the league table, that puts them into third place, tied in points with the Borough, but with a game in hand. They've won 3 out the last 4 with a draw in there as well. They're absolutely flying now, and I think they kind of one of the under the radar type teams, a bit Largs like, where they just go and make it difficult for everybody to play and pick up really important points. And I think it's quite good to see Troon and Largs up that top end of the table. And Largs again getting a 7-0 win in the Scottish Cup yesterday and stuff. They're just really turning it on. Talbot on the flip side, John, you've got a good stat that I didn't actually realise until you told me before this. But Talbot are not having, in my opinion, a very good season. That's 3 wins, 5 draws, 2 defeats in the league. Do you know what? I'll let you do your stat and then I'll mention it.
I mean, they've not won a league game since August, which everybody thinks August start of the season. Now, there's been, the caveat to that is there's been hundreds of cup games, right? So I get that. But your bread and butter's your league form. You know, everybody knows that. And they've had four draws and 2 defeats since then. So it's no great. And they've lost arguably one of their better players going to Johnston Borough as well. So it's just, I think they've just lost. You look at the squad, it's not a squad that you look at and go, there's good players, because normally, you know yourself, whenever you come up against Auchinleck, Sean, you'll have been the same. You look at the bench and you think, I remember managing Troon down at Auchinleck and they absolutely scudded us. And they're bringing really, really good, experienced players off the bench, you know, just to make it worse. And they've just not got that. You know, they've got a couple of boys they signed for Whitlets in the summer that, in my opinion, are nowhere near good enough or nowhere near Talbot level. And it's just no the same kind of about them that they've had before. So it'll be interesting to see where they go, because I thought last season was a kind of consolidation season for them and then they would kick on this year. And it's just really no quite happened for them yet. But maybe they get a run of games together, they could still end up the top end of the table. You would never really write them off because of the quality of the management team.
I think with Tommy there, you know, they could then go and win 10 games in a bounce. So you'd be foolish to write them off. But obviously, again, it's an inconsistency thing, and it's no good. I imagine Tom will be very frustrated with it. But great result for Troon, and they are flying as well. And as you say, PG, they kind of go under the radar a wee bit, but they deserve a lot of credit so far. But you know, they want to keep it going.
Aye. That's where I think that there's obviously not to get pure sucked into the farce that is promotion in this league. The winner should, for me, automatically go up. But that's where I think that it kind of hinders the excitement possibly in the league, where you look at Clydebank, who at this moment in time look like the league's theirs. It's hard to see past them. Obviously, anything can happen. Couple of injuries, couple of suspensions, and they lose a couple of games, and it's right tight again. But you look at the Borough, Troon, Largs, Drumchapel, St Cadocs are actually slowly bringing themselves back into it as well. You look at these teams and it kind of makes it a bit of a bit of a flat season when you know that there's no chance of you going down and there's no chance of you going up. If there was a promotion, like a playoff type thing, it would probably make it a bit more exciting, but that is what it is. But the big news this week, Gartcairn deducted 15 points. Announced it on a show, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, that I'd heard that rumour. I actually asked somebody for Gartcairn got in touch with me, and I actually asked them if it was like, if that was true a couple of weeks ago, and they never got back to me. But they seem very unhappy. Did you see the statement that went out? They
didn't mince their words, didn't
they were not hiding
much.
for it. It's this Comet system. It seems to be an issue. There's so many teams this has happened to. Sean, how is it for yous? Have you had any issues, or well, we kind of spoke about it, like, well, have you had any problems with it, or has it just been like whatever for yous?
I think at the start, like, I don't know how great the guidance was with it, to be honest. And, it was a kind of, I think we maybe just blagged it a wee bit, to be honest, and sort of taught ourselves. And, it's like, I know there was things put out, and Johnny, I think Johnny's role will probably use it, and I don't use it. Obviously, I've got John does it for me at Ardere, and he's brilliant, mate. He's got it sorted, and we've got the youth academy, so they all use it. So there's quite a lot of, they all talk about it quite a lot, and I try and avoid the conversation because it just sounds like an absolute headache, to be honest. I think it will come good, but these issues are worrying. And obviously I've read Gartcairn's statement. As you say, they didn't miss at all. But listen, we're only hearing that side. I'm not saying anybody's telling stories or anything like that. But
How does it get missed for 5 games? That
So
shouldn't have happened. And I'm not saying that isn't me saying that to Gartcairn. That's me saying, why is that being missed with a league for 5 games? I mean, don't get me wrong, Gartcairn, what they would have had 18 points, so they weren't going to win the league or anything. But now you're in a position where, what impact does this have on them? I think they're too good to even get relegated. I still think they'll pick up enough points to get out the trouble. But what happens if Shotts and Hurlford and Darbo all start picking up points and Gartcairn lose a couple of games and they're right in the mix? I think it's shocking that it has been missed for 5 games. 1, two, maybe 5's ridiculous to me.
So the issue for me was, apparently, according to Gartcairn's statement, is it was only brought up because somebody else flagged it to the association that this was happening, basically. So somebody, to use an old-fashioned Scottish term, somebody's cliped on them and said that they're doing this. Now, what that, and again, according to Gartcairn's statement, they've asked them to go back and look at all the other teams and see if this has happened across the board, and the SFA have said that they can't do that. Now, what that says to me is, straight away I read that and I went, oh Christ, I hope I've not done anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure secretaries up and down the country or up and down the association have done the same. So that's a massive issue, because you hope that if you do something wrong, because what you need to remember, PG and Sean will attest to this, our clubs, especially the lower down you go, they're all volunteers. Some are kind of older age. Do you know what I mean? They're doing this in their spare time, try to upload forms and get players registered and make sure that everything's above board and stuff like that. So you're relying on these guys knowing what they're doing. So that's a real issue for me. And to just bring it in the way they've brought it in, where they've just went, right, we're doing away with the old system, we're bringing in a new system for the entire of Scottish football, is just, I thought it was madness at the time to just bring it in blanket across the whole region. Whether they, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, it's nothing to do with Luger, so don't come for me, West of Scotland board, right? My opinion, they should have brought it in at the professional level, where you've got guys who are actually paid in administrative roles that will learn and make these mistakes and understand how to work it and how to use it, and then they can phase it in down the divisions. In my opinion, that's the way it should have been done. I did speak to another secretary at another club, and he actually spoke to the Welsh FA, who brought it in a season ago. But what they did was they ran the old system as well as the Comet system until October, in order to give everybody that learning time to get used to it, knowing that they still had the old system to fall back on if there were any mistakes. So again, that would probably have been a common sense solution, but for whatever reason, they've just decided to bring this in and hit everybody over the head with it and say you've got to do this. And there's going to be mistakes made across the board, and it's probably more worrying that it's only getting flagged up if somebody complains about it, you know?
Aye. Well, that's the point you've touched on there. Sorry, Sean. The point you've touched on that I think is really important. Gartcairn have said, well, you have to go back and look through everybody's. And Sean, you look at you're in a promotion battle right now, right? Just by chance, say one of your players, right, has for some reason that this thing's happened to you and you don't know, and this boy plays 23 of your 30 games, and you've managed to last minute goal, get yourself promoted, and then actual fact somebody says, oh wait, actually this boy's not been registered properly, and he goes through and you get relegated instead of getting promoted. I mean, what kind of impact is that going to have on clubs, and how do they go through every single game to see if every player's been registered properly?
Well, what you say there, if that comes back to 5 games, it goes back to that, I think 5 games, that's a shambles. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. And I think, Johnny, you'd kind of touched on there, as if somebody's went and stuck them in. But I think actually one of the comments was it was actually the Gartcairn secretary, where he was going through it, and I think the boy had a Tifa trialist next to him. He says he's not a trialist, we've signed him. And I think that's how it got flagged.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's no as if
you're right, Sean. Sorry.
anything.
You're right. Aye.
But the thing that I was thinking as well, it was a £500 fine as well.
Mm-hmm.
See if we were to get a £500 fine, that would be an absolute disaster for us as a club. And now the thing is, how can you give Gartcairn it? And as Johnny said, you're going, if we hopefully not, have we done that? If we get a £500 fine, I don't know how we could cope with that.
That is the thing. It's you're 100% right. Where that is funny in a sense, right? But that £500 fine to Gartcairn isn't much, right? Because they've got boys who are on £100 a week or whatever, and they have good sponsorship and stuff. They do well financially. But like you said, imagine that happens to you and you get relegated. So that's a loss of potential income for the next season. Instead of playing, I don't know, your Medas and bigger clubs like that, and getting better crowds in the first division, you drop into the second division. You kind of go up into, you get better crowds against teams and that, and then you're in the fourth division, and the £500 can cripple you as well, and it's very concerning. I think that the league really need to have a look at themselves about this. I think it's shambolic that it's been allowed to happen, and the fact that when would they have noticed? If the Gartcairn secretary hadn't said something, when would they notice this? And it would have got them relegated potentially.
I mean, and I suppose just to kind of play devil's advocate a wee bit here, but I know what you're saying about the point deduction and the fine, but if the rules are there, they broke the rules, they've been disciplined accordingly, right? But we want to get to the crux of the issue, which is how, as you said, it was allowed to kind of roll on for 5 weeks. And also, if Gartcairn have said that they've done everything above board and they've done everything that's supposed to be, then they can kind of feel hard done by, I suppose. I will say that the system, I actually think the system's okay. I don't think it's a bad system. I think it's fine. Do you know what I mean, for what it is? Like I said, I think the implementation could have left a bit to be desired, but also I feel that the help, the kind of service isn't there in terms of if you've got questions, and it can be just some random question that you have that you need to ask somebody. You know, I think I raised a ticket, an old good old-fashioned IT ticket for something that I couldn't find on the website, and I'm still waiting. You know, and that was way back in August. I think it was about trying to arrange a friendly, which then turns out you couldn't do on Comet. Do you know what I mean? Just these kind of
Aye.
things. So it appears to me from my vantage point that the infrastructure in terms of support hasn't been there. And that creates issues as well, because if you are making mistakes, if you're no sure about something, you need to have somebody. Basically, the only people you've got to go to is other secretaries who are learning about it as well. Unfortunately, you know.
Something I'd say is quite interesting about the Comet. I've been roped into coaching my wee boys team, and I had to log into the Comet, and they've got my registration for Partick Thistle for 22 years ago. I thought that was quite interesting, seeing my 400 clubs I'd played with. But we'll move on to the First Division, an absolute belter this week in the First Division. Some great shocks, or no shocks, upsets in terms of the promotion hunt and relegation. We got Maple 0, Renfrew 3, Glencairn 2, Vale of Clyde 2, Rock 2, Thorniewood 3, Ardrossan 2, Blantyre 2, Robroy 1, Ashfield 3. It's no often that you have every single game in the league has a big impact on relegation and promotion in the 1 week. I'll start with, for me, Renfrew. That was a really good result, 3-0 away to Maple. They're quietly going about their business, Renfrew. They kind of scraped by against Ashfield recently, which, now looking at Ashfield's result against Rob Roy, shows that it's maybe not as much a shock. Ashfield are potentially just getting better now. But Renfrew winning, that takes them 2 points off at Athley. Granted, they've played 2 games more, but they're only 2 points off the Rock, and they've got a game in hand, a point behind Glencairn, same games. Glencairn are on a bit of a sticky patch now as well. Then you've got Thorniewood beating the Rock, who are 5th place with 22 points, so 3 points off promotion, with 2 games in hand on the Rock and 1 on Renfrew and Glencairn. Really interesting week. What's your thoughts on it, Johnny? The Renfrew win against Maple. It's quite a comfortable win as well.
It's a good result for them. It's always a tough place to go, down to Maple, and Maple they were going well, but they've kind of stumbled recently. They've no one in 4 league games. But I think I said a couple of times that I felt that Maple being up the top end was maybe a bit false, and I think mid-table is probably where they belong, if that makes sense. I think it's a great result for Renfrew. Obviously, with Rutherglen and St Roch's dropping points, it just brings everybody really, really close and really tight together, and it gives them a chance to go above St Roch's and Rutherglen St Roch's if they win their game in hand. So, fantastic result. They're going well, and I like to see them up there. I don't know why, but I've always had a wee soft spot for Renfrew. I've no idea why. I remember playing at their old ground, which was an absolute.
I used to jump the wall there and go and drink before school discos because it was round the corner from my school.
Aye, so I've always had a wee soft spot for them. I don't know why, but I like to see them doing well. So it's good to see them up the top end.
Sean, you're in the position now where obviously we'll come to it in a couple of minutes. What you're kind of unhappy with the fact you've been a bit inconsistent. Then you've got the Rock, who have had a great season. They lost 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back, and then they get the great result against Glencairn, winning it late on. You think they're starting to pick up, and then they go and lose to another team who they're in the hunt with promotion. What do you think? How would that be for Kendo and his team? Because you're in a similar position yourself at times where you're really trying to get a bit of consistency and it's hard to come by.
Frustration's the word you would use, because I say to my players like this, I feel like sometimes, you go and you do something well, you have a good game, and then you're buzzing and you're ready to go, and you're looking at the next one, and then it's just, where did that come from? You kind of don't get carried away, but we talked about that momentum. You're desperate to build some momentum and keep it going, and so as you say, St Roch's have started well, and then the frustrating results are creeping in a wee bit, and that's the word that I would use for it. Definitely, that's how the guys up there will be feeling now.
I think as well that you need to, yourself, Sean, tends to be, and it's probably not the way it should be, but losses tend to stick with you longer than victories sometimes, you know, and they can be harder to get over. So when you're going well, you're, as you said, I think you used the phrase earlier, you're just rolling on to the next one, and then you hit a road bump, you get stuck, and you maybe dwell on it, and one becomes two, becomes three. So I suppose it's just about trying to address that and make sure that you pick up and go again, isn't it?
That's it, and it's the good stuff that you take in your winning runs. You need to stop. You need to stop that from happening in the opposite run. You don't let that sort of negative, well, I don't know, the negative run stuff, and when you're getting into it, as you say, John, and you're overthinking, and you can't shake games off and things like that. You need to sort of, we train Tuesday, Thursday. We need to. I'll be crab at Tuesday at the start when we have our meeting after training, and then we'll go on and we'll talk about what we're going to do for the week and how we're going to address things. And you've just got to do it like that. You can't. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do, but you know yourself. You've just got to basically. You're near the option, because if you want to drag things on, then it's going to be another long week next week.
The Glencairn and Clyde game, quite an interesting one. Glencairn are hitting a bit of a dip recently. They've not won in any of the last 3 league games, 2 draws and a defeat. Clyde, on the flip side, they look like they're starting to pick up a wee bit. That was a great result, obviously, they had in the south a couple of weeks ago. I think they're starting to show. And John, we spoke about, I think we spoke about a couple of times where when you're doing that end of the table, the points are so important. Whereas Clyde have only won 1 out of the last 6, but 1 out of the last 4, 3 draws out of the last 4.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, that 6 points in the 4 games starts to become really important, particularly when you look at Rob Roy are in a bit of a bad place just now. It has to start giving yourself that wee bit of breathing space. In the Meda, I've got quite a few games in hand on Clyde, but the games in hand aren't a guarantee, because if your game in hand are against the top 3 or 4, you're not guaranteed to pick up the points. If, just now, a wee bit of hypothetical here, I think Arthur look like they're going to get one of the 3 spots, probably the top spot, with the rest of them just kind of chipping away each other. Who would both of you think could get the other 2 places, or potentially if you believe that Arthur won't get it? But out of the top 5, you're looking at Arthur, The Rock, Glencairn, Renfrew and Thorniewood. Out of 5 of them, who do you think's going to be looking to get the other 2 spots?
So I think Arthur will win the league. I think Rutherglen will get promoted as well. Rutherglen have scored 37 goals in 13 games. That's a really, really good return. Do you know what I mean? You're talking almost 3 goals a game. So that's, if they keep that up, that will see them promoted. Definitely. I know, and you're absolutely right, they've hit a wee sticky patch in the last few. But if they can keep scoring goals, then I think they'll tighten up a wee bit at the back, because they have conceded 22 as well. But I think they'll get promoted. And the 3rd promotion spot, I said it earlier, I've got a soft spot for them, so I'm going to go with Renfrew.
I'd love to see Renfrew back in the Premier League, to be fair. And I think it's testament to the job Jimmy's done there. Honestly, don't know how. Maybe they have and we just don't know. But see, if you're one of the top teams who lose their manager, you've got to be looking at somebody like Jimmy. Or we spoke about it previously with Nizzy and Dolzy at the Cumbernauld, who I think are both really good as well. Jimmy Quigley's phenomenal job he's done there. With no a massive amount of money and just bringing in guys for contacts. I think it's been a great job he's done.
Definitely has. We played against Renfrew when they changed manager. We beat them 7-2 up at their bit, and they obviously thought getting beat a fair deal like that will need to change manager, definitely. And Jimmy came in, and we were in when they went to conferences. We were in the conference with them, and then we both went up to the league the next year as well. So we had a couple of years with them, and he's a great guy for a start, but he's done an absolutely brilliant job. The change of the club is brilliant, and he seems like, I'd imagine he's quite a hands-on guy with most things, and he's really taking control of the club. There's a good committee up there as well, but he's taking control of the club, and they're going to just keep getting better, I think.
I think
I
the
think
facilities help as well. I mean, Sean, you'll know you're trying to attract players. They've got a
Aye.
great ground there and set up, and do you know what I mean? It just looks like a good place you'd want to go and play football. If you're bringing, you know yourself, you're bringing players to the club to talk to them about signing and things like that. You bring them to Renfrew, they'll imagine themselves enjoying playing their football there, definitely, and that will help, you know. And if Jimmy's got amazing contacts, you bring them there, they'll look about and think, I can see myself playing here. I quite enjoy it. You know, it's good place to go. So,
it's good place to put yourself in a shop window as well. I think
good
that
history as well. You know, Scottish Cup winners know that long ago, and good players that have came through. They used to have a really good side when they were in the Premier League and stuff like that. So it's a good club, and it would be good to see them back in the Premier League.
the bottom two teams, obviously, we were talking about Gartcairn with the points deduction. Then you've got Blantyre, who 9 point deduction through the ineligible players nonsense. And I spoke about it when they got that. They've picked up 4 points for the last two games, and I think that it's one of the ones Ross will probably be really frustrated with the fact that they're now potentially finding a bit of form when it's gone. I mean, they're sitting at minus 5 points. They are same games as Rob Roy, and they're 17 points behind them because of this deduction. Obviously, I don't think that they can clamber that back. But it's a really good result for them because I think Ardrossan are starting to pick up a bit as well. Ashfield, that's a huge victory for them. That, again, the Med have a lot of games in hand on Ashfield, and they're 3 points clear of them. But that's a huge result for Ashfield to give themselves any hope. And for Rob Roy, it's just as important, but in reverse. That sucks them right into it. And I really like Gibby. Worked with him, known him for a long time. He's a great guy. I can only imagine how frustrated he is just now. And the fact that they're staring down the barrel of back-to-back relegations is quite worrying for them.
I think Blantyre, maybe it's too pressure off them a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? They can just go and enjoy their football. They've been deducted those points. It looks like an absolute mountain to climb. I don't see them getting out it at all. So they can just go and enjoy themselves and as we said before, look to build and get a wee bit of form together to build into next year and try and get players at the club to kind of build to get promoted back up into the league next year. I think looking at the bottom of the table, I would say you're probably looking at a three-way shootout probably between Meda, Rob Roy and Vela Clyde for that third promotion spot. I don't see Ashfield getting out of it. Although that's an amazing result for them yesterday, and it will give them a wee bit of hope, a wee glimmer of hope. But they've played obviously more games than everybody else kind of round about them. So I think it'll be a three-way shootout for that last position. And with Rob Roy getting beat yesterday, like we said, those points for Vela Clyde, that just helps lift them up again. I think that's Vela Clyde unbeaten in 4, which is really good and really positive. If you're down the bottom of the table, it's just picking up those results to stay in the league.
Aye, definitely. We'll move on to the second division now. Cambuslang 4, Bellshill 1, Coatside Rangers 5, Craigmark 0, Lesmahago 3, Kelly Locos 3, Lesmahago who absolutely love high scoring games, Maryhill 2, Yoker 2, Muirkirk 0, Neilston 1, the Ants 1, Bonnyton 2. Yesterday, I think, puts Neilston right in the driving seat. They are flying just now. 6 or 7, actually no, is it 9 wins in the bounce or something crazy like that in the league. They're absolutely flying, and that takes them 2 points clear of Muirkirk now. Muirkirk's first time being off the top spot. That's a huge result. And Sean, what do you view for that? Because obviously Muirkirk are very much a surprise package this year, where I don't think people expected this for them for being a kind of lower half team, but kind of mid-table-ish team last season, to now being a team who look like they're in a right good chance of getting promoted.
It's brilliant, but the season that they've had so far, and obviously, as you say, that's them just come off the top for the first time in a while. But you know, it's then you've got that challenge again of right, let's get back up there, let's keep putting pressure on Neilson. So the psychological things there, and you know, and you're the one getting chased, it's sometimes more difficult. You're better just saying, right, let's go and get them, and let's just keep waiting for them to slip. So they're having a great season so far, but I know for a fact that they don't want it to be with a good season up till December. You know, it's
Aye.
got to see it through, and all the plaudits they're getting now won't matter to them if they don't now finish at least in that top three.
I think, Johnny, we've spoke about this with him being a very young side, coming basically most of the Ben's 20s last season. That's out of the last 6 games, they've lost 2, drawn 1, won 3. Are we now seeing a potential, and I'm no, me and Muirkirk have history with this stuff, but are we seeing a potential slip and maybe that inexperience, no having seen them playing, is it the inexperience maybe going to be creeping in that Neilston have a bit more experience and they've got like your Dylan Fletchers and stuff who have been the course before, proven at this level? Do you think that's potentially something that could be happening to them?
I think it's always difficult. They had an unbelievable start, and that's really, really difficult to maintain, you know, at any level. And as you said, with a young team, it'll be interesting to see how they go in the winter months. They've had a setback yesterday, but for me, if Muirkirk still managed to finish top 3 and get promoted, then that's an unbelievable season for them, you know, and that. So again, it maybe just takes the focus away from them because they were flying at the start of the season. Everybody was talking about them. They hadn't lost a game for however long and stuff, and it was, are they going to keep winning, keep winning, keep winning? So now maybe the pressure will be off them a wee bit, and they can just go about their business and pick up some results. But as I said, if they finish in the promotion spots, what a season that is for
Aye.
them. We should be absolutely delighted. I don't think anybody at Muirkirk will be looking at it going, oh Christ, we only finished third in the league, or we finished second in the league, we didn't manage to win it. It's a great result for Neilston. I can't believe they get battered 6-0 for Larkhall the first game of the
I
season.
know.
And
I
then
thought they were going to have a really tough season when
they lost
you
to
saw the first couple
Bonnyton
of results.
at the end of August, and then they've won every game, every other game since. They're just keep
It's,
flying.
it's,
It's great. It's a great run.
it's excellent. At the other end of the table, a couple of results that really stick out for me. Maryhill, this nae harm to Yoker. I was looking at the scores yesterday coming in. Maryhill were 2-0 up, and I was really hoping that they'd get the win because I've got a lot of time for Mark, and I played for Maryhill, so it's a club that I really like. And I was hoping that he was going to go and get out of that bad run and get themselves a win. And then 2 late goals, they draw 8 games without a win. That's them in the relegation zone. It's really hard to see for me, based off of how current form is. They're really, really going to struggle for me if this doesn't start to turn around pretty quickly.
I mean, they'll be delighted with St Anne's getting beat yesterday, because that would have put them in real bother. But I think the way that they've been going, the results that they've been having, 4 defeats in the spin, and then they pick up a draw yesterday. So if I was looking at it, I'd be probably looking at it as a point gained rather than 2 lost, although it maybe doesn't feel like that because you were 2-0 up and you would hope to win the game from there. But you're trying to catch the teams above you. A point closer to them makes a big difference. They've got a game in hand over St Anne's as well, so they've got a chance to get themselves out of it. So when you're down the bottom, as we've said many times in this show, any points are valuable, and sometimes you just need to. Sean, you'll know this as well. Like sometimes if you are struggling and you do have a result like that, you need to just maybe take stock and reflect and think about it as a point gained rather than thinking we'll throw away a potential victory there.
You know, I think as well, sometimes you can get bogged down by looking at stats and all that. You take it for the last game, how did it go? Right, we've got a point now. Let's just build on it, you know. And Mark's been in this situation before when we were in the league with him a couple of years ago as well, and he done fine. He got out it. I think he's done a great job at Maryhill. I've not seen him this year, but I watched them last year. They played the Winton last year, and I went down and watched them. Winton were obviously flying, won the league and things. And the Winton won eventually in the game, but I thought Maryhill were really, really good. Big Ginger was in goals for the Winton that day, made a couple of really good saves. But I think Mark's a good manager, and I still think that the Mark will get him out of that, to be honest. I think, and as you said, Johnny, you know, like take the positives, you know, because sometimes it gets like you feel like you can't do anything right. So see, even see it's maybe this week, this wasn't that great or that wasn't that great. Sometimes just take the positives. Don't worry about the negatives now, because probably all the days talk. Well, it's like you're in that sort of frame of mind when all you think about is the negative stuff. Put it at the back of your mind. Take the positives and then just go and build on it.
Johnny, you touched on the Ants result, which for me is another one that's really does help Maryhill, because the Ants were 1-0 up. Bonnyton are absolutely flying just now. I'm just looking at it. Bonnyton have won 4 and drawn 1 at the last 5. I mean, that's 13 of their 17 points have been won in the last 5 games, and they're starting to pull themselves out of it. Cambuslang winning yesterday was a big one, and that also helps Maryhill and the Ants, because Bellshill are still stuck in it with them. But the Ants have got a different issue where they've played the most games in the league. And it's really, they're in a position where you're thinking, where are they going to get a win? It's hard to see it. They've had a couple of sore defeats as well. A couple of weeks ago, they lost comfortably. I've got both. Actually, the 3 clubs I'm talking about who are on that relegation battle, I played for the 3 of them, and then I coached one of them that's in there. So I know what it's like at each of the clubs. But it's hard just now to see. I go and watch the results come in every week, and I'm obviously really interested in it. And I always watch the Ants because it's a club I really like, and they were really good to me when I was there. I feel like they're not going to win many games, and I hope it doesn't happen, but I think that they could go down. I think they're really in a bad position. Craig Marker obviously gone, another defeat for them, 12 defeats out of 13, but they've had their own circumstances. Massive result for, like I said, Cambuslang though.
Aye, big result for Cambuslang and Bonnyton as well. Bonnyton this week brought in a few players as well to strengthen the squad. So Poppy's went out and obviously identified that he needs to get some players in. So he's brought the boy Jordan Banks. That was
Banks, yeah, played for me, Craig Mark.
Aye. So I like Banks. I've got a lot of time for him. Signed Matt Walker and Chris Chisholm as well.
Right, we were talking about that. Aye,
from Eggleton. So he's obviously looking to strengthen the boys he knows. I think Walker obviously played with him at Whitlets last year as well. So boys he knows that he can trust to get a tune out of, and like you said, they're going well, and they've probably the last few weeks they've got themselves away from danger, I would think. And I think, like you said, I think St Ant's, just with the games, they've, as you said, they've played more games than everybody in the league. I think if Maryhill can arrest, can kind of stop the rut, if you like, and start to pick up a wee bit, then they could maybe get out it and send St Ant's down with the other 2 below them.
Moving on to the 3rd division, Ardere 2, Kilsyth Athletic 3, Doride 3, Glenvale 2, Perthshire 3, Glasgow United 1, Glasgow Uni 1, Girvan 1, the Thorn 5, Wishaw 0. So Sean, we'll start with you guys. That was a bit of a 6-pointer between yourselves and Kilsyth yesterday, 2-0 up, and you lose 3-2. How was the game?
When we spoke about it before the game, they were either going to overtake us, or we could have stretched it to just 5 ahead of them, and obviously they've overtook us. But we started fine. First half we were probably the better team. We missed a couple of chances, and then, as I say, we had a bit of an issue in the warm up of our goalkeepers just 10 minutes before kicking. This isn't an excuse, by the way. He's got injured, and he looks like it's going to be maybe out for a while. So hopefully not. But he's been off at the hospital now today, so hopefully it's not as bad as we
What was it happened to him?
Just warming up, came out for a cross, and he's landed. His legs locked, and it looks like it's a torn ligament and meniscus as well. So we're hoping it's not as bad as we fear it is, but that's kind of both. But it's the first time I've ever started a season and going, right, I've got 2 decent goalies here, and now both of them are out long term, so that's great.
So if you've got
goalies, goalies.
He's got somebody else lined up to come in.
We're going to have to.
Are you one of the Glingos?
Well, we had actually a goalie coach had to go in yesterday, and listen, fair play to him because he was my school goalie, and he's not playing anymore. And to do that, I've got a lot of respect for Michael for doing that. But it wasn't ideal, Mike. I mean, he'll tell you himself. You know the goals that we lost. No, I'm not blaming him at all. By the way, the goals that we lost as a team aren't good enough. In that game and the last two games we've played, we've missed chances, and then even at 2-1, I mean they were by far the better team in the second half. I'm not going to hide that at all. We struggled to get out at times, but at 2-1, we're through 1-1 with a goalkeeper, and you score that, it's 3-1, it kills the game. But aye, very frustrating. But we don't have a fixture next week, so well we're going to have a friendly, and we're going to freshen things up, and we're going to try things. And
Sean, looking at your results, obviously you've said it a couple of times, consistency has been a big issue for you this year. I think it's just been kind of one step forward, two steps back. Some weeks, you get a really good result and then you'll have a not so good result the following week. Would you put that down to? Is there anything that you're identifying?
I've sort of touched on it with you, PG. Like the way that the results show it, we either go out and we're really really good, or else we go out and we're no good, and that's frustrating, and we've got to get stronger mentally, I think. And it comes from obviously, but we maybe lack a bit of experience in the team. We've got really good players, I think, but we need to just sort of in the tough. There's a couple of games we went down to 10 men in this season, and we've won the games. For that position. So, the mental toughness and all that is there, but sometimes it's really for him. See, even when I'm talking here, I'm punching my horn here, getting frustrated talking about it. But it's the inconsistency drives me mental, to be honest. And I tell the boys that to break my heart every second Saturday. But that's something that we speak about. It's something that we have to address. Just trying to find out how we do that. Is the issue I've got now.
That's the thing as well, though. This league's so tight. But taking the Thorn Athletic, right, who they're having a tremendous season. But you look at yourselves, Kilsyth, Fanat, Persia, Greenock. There's only 3 points separating the 70s in that hunt. Granted, yourselves and Kilsyth have played a couple of games more, but you're sitting here obviously really frustrated and annoyed that you've went back-to-back defeats. Whereas if you've won that game yesterday, you're sitting joint second and you're feeling good. If you've won the last two games, you're in a right good position. So it's obviously there's still a lot of time, a lot of games to be played for you to win 2 or 3 games and you're right back in it. So I suppose on that side, is that maybe something you're pushing to the players, like you're 100% still in the hunt?
Aye, that's it. And I think the big thing is no knee-jerk reactions. There's no crisis and anything like that. We just need to tighten up. Get back to things that we've been doing well this season, and it's no a crisis. It's no the results haven't been failed. They're really frustrating. But as you say, we sort of broke the league into sort of blocks of 6 games so far, and that was we spoke after the Glasgow Uni game last week. That was our 12th game of the season, and 12 games in, we're in the hunt. So, now 13, and obviously the last 2 weeks have been frustrating, but we're still in the mix, and
Has
that's the big thing.
Has there been any teams in particular that you have played? Like I mentioned, I actually left 3 out of that. They're a lot of games in hand and they're still right in the hunt as well. Is there any teams in that pack that you've played that have really impressed you, or anybody in the league at all?
I touched on Greenock. I was really impressed with Greenock. Thorn, when we played Dave first half, they gave us a bit of runabout, but we got better in the game, and it was probably disappointing not to win the game, and then we ended up drawing. Down to Luger, I'm not just saying it to Johnny's here, Johnny Maystella, maybe Lark Hall took them lightly good down there. I can tell you right, don't get an easy game down there. But, like, I think I say this to the boys and all, there's nobody, and I mean this in a nice way, by the way, there's nobody that anybody will be fearing in our league. I don't think there's anybody who's worried about playing anybody. And I think that's the thing that we try to get the message across. On our day, we think we can beat anybody, but there's 15 other teams in the league who I'd imagine will be saying the same.
Yeah. On the Thorn, 5-0, top against bottom, 5-0 against Wishaw. For us, we had him on recently, and I think he knows that how big a task it is. I think there's something like seven wins out of 43 in the league of the last 2 seasons. It's a really tough spell for them. But the Thorn, I think one of only 3 teams left, including Knightswood and Clydebank in the setup, who have not lost in a league game yet. They're having a very, very good season. And themselves, Finnart, Kilsyth, Thrieve, not so much Glenvale, but all the teams who have been in that 4th division and moved up, they seem to be settling in quite well. And it's a really, for me, another quite commanding performance.
I think when we played Thorn and they beat us 2-0 fairly comfortably. But what I was impressed with them, you could tell they were really well coached. Like the players knew what to do, where to go. They were all their rotations and all that kind of stuff was all spot on. Everybody knew their positions and they exploited areas of the park and they created overloads in midfield and stuff like that. So you can tell that they're really well coached, and it's no surprise to see them flying at the top of the league. I thought I was really impressed with them. Like you said, Sean, like you said, they gave you a bit of the runaround to begin with, and they were the kind of same with us until you kind of get a grip of it. But I no surprise. Hopefully, Aaron can get that first victory for Wishaw, because they're getting a bit detached at the bottom, and it would be good to see them maybe kind of just get a victory here and there and get some positivity going into the rest of the season.
You look at like Girvan getting, again, that falls under the, when you're doing there, the point's really important. That it was a late goal against Glasgow Uni that gets them a point, which gets them closer to Glenvale, who lost yesterday to Dorai. Then you've got Irvine Vicks, who Kev Adams and I can't remember the other boy's name, have now been put in charge until the end of the season. I got a message sent to me about that as well. After I read the comments, it was something along the lines of it's not a surprise that that's what's happened. But anyway, they're going to pick up points because I think their team's too good. They've got too much quality in their squad, no to get out of that. So that's where you're looking as Wishaw are gone. Glenvale, Villa Clyde losing, leaving, losing yesterday. I know it was to Johnson Borough in the Cup, but it's another defeat. It's quite interesting down the bottom of the table when you have got 4 or 5 teams, and Glasgow United are getting sucked into it as well, but they're a bit, I think they'll probably be all right because they pick up enough points. But it's quite interesting, Sean, seeing how tight that league is on both ends. I think you're actually just looking at pretty much Luger and Glasgow Uni are the only 2 teams that pretty much don't have, in my opinion, any fear of either way. They're not going to go up, and they're probably not going to go down.
Don't say that.
I'm saying it. I'm putting it right out there.
I think that's what we touched on as well. Like, and that's what my point with nobody feels them in our league. I don't think, and you fancy it yourself every Saturday. So I think how tight it is reflects on that.
You know yourself, Sean. It doesn't matter where you go. You know you're going to get a tough game. And it's probably the same in any division, but in this division particularly, you're going to have to earn your 3 points if you're going to get them. Definitely. So I think I'm surprised at Glasgow United. I've said that a couple of times. I thought they were a decent side. I'm surprised to see them down the bottom, just not getting that consistency to get up the table. I thought they would be performing a bit better, and it'll be interesting to see what happens at Irvine Vicks now with the 2 boys going in there. I think for me, one thing that they seem to have lost that they had under Dougie was they were all over you. Do you know what I mean? They were like a swarm. They were so hard working. They were so energetic. They were in your face. You know, the boys in the middle of the park worked their absolute socks off. They're just like wee pit bulls chasing after you and getting the ball back and using it well. So it'll be interesting if that gets re-injected into the team, because if it does, I think they'll have a big say, and they could start climbing up the table if they can get that kind of spirit and enthusiasm and energy back into the team that they had certainly last season. I think they can certainly move up the table. And I'm
I
not
think
saying the old manager was rubbish, so don't come and say I was. Don't come for me, right? I'm just saying what I saw, what I see.
I think that's what Kevin that will be going for, Johnny, to be honest. They'll be sort of go back to a wee bit simpler stuff. Try to, in that park as well. They'll probably go more direct. The only thing that I would say, and I don't know if he's maybe through injury now, Gaffer, who's going to be on helping Kev, I think he's his assistant manager. For me, he's the best centre half.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not going to be playing, that's a big blow. I think they need him to play still.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Kevin, I think he's been struggling with injuries, and I don't know if he was planning going again next year. I'm not sure. But still loads of goals in him too. So you kind of
Aye.
want, especially in this situation, you kind of need the two guys.
They've conceded 41 goals this season already, Sean. Do you know what I mean? That's in 13 games to concede 41 is bad times, you know. And if I agree with you, I think he is the best centre half. So they'll be looking to tighten that up first and foremost, I would imagine.
We'll wrap ourselves up with the fourth division. BSC 0, Royal Albert 6, Saltcoats 3, Knightswood 4, St Peters 2, Kilsyth 5, Port Glasgow 4, Kello 3. Knightswood make it 5 wins in the bounce after their only points dropped their month there. 12 wins for 13, 1 draw. But they're absolutely flying. But the Port, for me, are being very consistent now. That's a really big win for them yesterday, 4-3 against Kello. They're only 6 points behind, still to play Knightswood once. And it's good that it's keeping it interesting, because Knightswood are running the risk of disappearing and just going too far ahead of everybody. It's two good results, but Saltcoats, for me, I don't know how the game's gone, but I was quite surprised to see Saltcoats taking 3 off of Knightswood. And I know that Saltcoats Park, when we touched on it with like Lugar and talking about the kind of old grass part stuff, it's a bit of a leveler. That's maybe signs of improvement for Saltcoats, but that's I was quite surprised to see it was so close yesterday.
It's not an easy place to go, Sean. I don't know that. It's not a pleasant experience going to Saltcoats to play football, especially in the winter. So for me, if I was at Knightswood, you just want to get down there and get the win, keep your run going at the top of the table, and get back up the road, to be honest. And they've done that, and it doesn't really matter whether it's 3-2 or 5-2. Just go down there and win and get away. And a great result for Port Glasgow. That's now 6 points between second and third. Now, although Easterhouse have got a game in hand, but it's a bit of a gap, like you said, it's a bit of a gap opening up. And to be honest with you, I'm not really that surprised. I think I would probably no even going out on a limb, but you definitely say those are the two best sides in the division, so it's no surprise to see them opening up a wee gap at the top, and I would imagine those two to clinch promotion fairly comfortably come the end of the season.
I've seen Saltcoats were actually up 2-1 at half time.
That right?
I guarantee you know what it's like down there, and well, so we're just along the road at Ardee. It was really windy yesterday, and it's always really windy there because they're right on the water. So you talk about levelers, that really would have been yesterday. And to be fair, Stevie has got him improving.
Right.
Stevie has got him going in the right direction. I think he was in the sort of local papers talking about it as well this week. I think that's him been in charge for a year now. So it was a big job he had when he came in, and I think he'll be quite satisfied with where they're at just now. But he knows obviously there's still a lot of improvement there as well to get done.
Well, that's 3 games out of the last 6 they've lost, which they've picked up 5 points for the last 5 games. To me, that's like you're saying, it's a massive improvement on where they were, and you know it's been a really tough job. A decent result for me yesterday was Kilsyth beating St Peters 5-2. I know that St Peters are having a great season, but something must be changing at Kilsyth. I mean, they drew with Royal Albert 2 weeks ago. Royal Albert, who won in 6-0. Don't get me wrong, everybody scuds BSC this season, but they're starting to improve. But they also got a draw with Kello the week before that, who are obviously one of the better sides in the league. I wonder what's happening at Kilsyth, that they're starting to turn that around a wee bit, because that's a good 5 points for the 3 games for me. And I think early in the season they'd have been lucky to come away with a point or two in the games.
Mm-hmm. Aye, they've picked up a wee bit, and it's good to see them being more competitive and maybe pushing up the table. And like you say, Kello stumbling a wee bit in the last couple of weeks, which is really kind of separated them from the top 2, as we spoke about. But it's good that Kilsyth have got. I know you're saying about being windy at Saltcoats, but it's nothing compared to the hurricane that is Kilsyth's park. So they've got a really good asset there in terms of their home advantage. So I would expect them, as it comes into the winter, they'll pick up a few results there as well. I always found them tough place to go, tough team to compete against. So it's good to see them pick it up.
Aye. Look, we'll call that for this week. It's been quite a lengthy one. Johnny, thanks for coming on. Sean, really appreciate you taking the time to come on, mate. And then after some technical issues to start as well. But thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Oh, thanks for having us again, mate. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Sean, all the best the rest of the season, my man. Good to see you.
Johnny. Same to yourselves, mate.
Thanks for watching. As always, make sure you get down and watch your local club next week and support the level. And if you're stuck with us this long, next week, myself and Toby will be doing the radio show again. We'll be live from 1 o'clock next Saturday, going through all the results, get interviews getting done, phoning and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to phone in, please do, because we only got one phone call last week, so 2 weeks ago, and it was hard to try and draw that out. But look, thanks.
Was it the boys who Irvine Vicks?
No, it was a Knightswood our goalkeeper they phoned in. That was quite funny. Andy swore, so that was a good start for us. But look, everybody, thanks for watching and have a good week. Cheers.